our city council has voted and deemed that it's important enough for us to meet this way, and we're going to take it off. The first item on our agenda is to discuss the fiscal year 2021 budget. Anyone want to take it away?
Not all at once now.
You want to hold that for the end and come back?
I'd rather go ahead and deal with it. It's okay, Mayor.
Okay, no problem on my end.
Well, of course, we've had another request. The chief came back and asked for, in addition to the $1, he asked for another $1, so he could be more competitive in drawing policemen to help us out. I'm sure we're kind of thin right now, so I'll just throw that on the floor to see if any interest in honoring his request, whether it be $1 or 75, or if it's going to be anything. So I think it would be a good idea to add more to the police to draw the candidates up here that we need.
Okay. One other thing, did everyone get the email from Chief Jenkins about the vehicle fund?
Yes, sir, I did.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure everyone had received that, and I guess the seemed like there was one other item, but it doesn't come to my attention right now. So as we discuss things more, maybe it'll come on out.
Well, one thing I think we need to do, Mark Jenkins does an excellent job. If we had to hire somebody to do the things that he does, I think we need to give him a raise this year also. I don't think $100 a month would be too much.
Okay, so we'll add that in on the appropriate line item. Other items of discussion on it. I know that there's got to be other thoughts before we go into second reading on it.
Well, I took it that Mark wanted to put in the 25,000. Correct me if I'm wrong. And still, instead of building up a fund, he wanted to go ahead and buy an engine. Now, I might have misunderstood that. I've got a little problem really with both numbers, but I wouldn't want to commit a council for the next 10 years for $25,000 to $30,000 a year just right off the bat. So
my recommendation to the council would be let's pass the budget that we have for this year. The money is in there to put back at this point, and wait until a work study when the chief is present so he can actually discuss what he wants to bring forward.
I agree with that. And my thoughts on the extra $1 for the police department, with the $1 we're already giving them, if we do it that way, that puts us starting out at $16.25. And like I said before, last meeting, from the printout that Garrett had given us, Lafayette's, we'll be in line with Lafayette. They're starting at $15.90. Red Boiling starts at $16.25. White House starts at $16. Macon County Sheriff's Department starts at $17.55. Gallatin is $18.70. So with the cities that kind of is in our range, I don't know. We would have to we would have to take another $25,138 to cover an extra $1. That would be the salary plus Social Security and retirement. the benefits. So I don't know if we need to take that much more from our fund balance. I think the 466 is pushing it right there that we've already got in there. That's my thoughts.
I noticed in White House, they have a guaranteed 2.5% increase. And it's a good chance with the new budget year that these other cities will, the numbers we're using are going to go up, when they actually start the new fiscal year.
I know that Portland has included a raise for their officers. And what they are looking at is, because of the pandemic, they're holding off on issuing the raise, and they're going to wait until January. And if everything is good in January, they're going to make it retroactive back for them.
Well, my thoughts on that, and the rest of you can speak up. We've got the money right there already, pulling from our fund balance. And if we give the raise to all of our employees, I think we would need to start it effective July 1st, is my thoughts on it.
I agree.
Yes, I'll agree with that too.
Because we need to attract people right now. That's my feelings.
That is correct.
I'm gonna throw this out there. Let's say we give them the dollar now, and in several months, whenever we actually see what money, because I know some of these numbers are not exact. We don't exactly know what we're getting. We can come back and discuss and see if we can go further. What do y'all think of that?
I like that idea. I really do. Because the last time we had a meeting just for the police, now I think that was before your time, Chandra, we had it like in February of a given year. And we, at that time, was it $2 an hour that we gave them? Because of our circumstances of not being able to keep anybody or recruiting anyone. So that's very good. That's a very good idea, I think. That's my feelings.
Need to hear from everybody else here.
Okay, the chief is here with me if you have any questions that you'd like to send his way.
Doug, what's your thoughts on it?
I'm just trying to kind of process that, just to make sure I understand. You're saying wait until after we pass the budget, Chandra?
Well, I'm saying we can give the dollar now. It's already, I believe it's already worked into the budget we're looking at. Am I correct, Frida?
That's correct. That's correct.
And then come back in a few months once we see exactly where our budget is sitting, and be able to give another $50, another dollar if we have it.
Okay, I like that. I think that's a wise choice. We've already looked at that dollar raise already, and looking for more in the future would probably be more smart on our ends.
Could you go 50 cents? Go ahead, Mayor.
I was just going to ask Ms. Frida, what was that amount again now that you figured for the extra dollar?
Making it $2 more, is that what you're asking? We would have to add $25,138 to the budget that we've got now.
Okay.
What did we already have to add?
Pardon me?
What did we already have to add to get that dollar? You said a 70-something thousand.
71,000.
Okay.
Right now, the amount with the dollar across the board for all the employees, when we left the meeting last time, the amount that we're taking from the fund balance is 71,466.
Okay.
From the fund balance of 800 and, let me look. A fund balance of 887,701.
Okay.
So if
Follow
we
me?
gave, them $1.50 now, that 24,000 would be cut in half. So for 12,000 more dollars, we could give them 50 cents. Is my math right? And the fund balance could handle that, I think. I like doing something now instead of later, but I'll go along if nobody else agrees with me, I'll go along with that.
What is everybody else thoughts about the extra 50-cent raise that Tony just proposed?
We're gonna have to do something, or we're gonna start losing officers. I mean, they ain't gonna get there and put their lives, with the way everything's going on, put their life on the line and not get compensated for it. If we're gonna get qualified officers, we're gonna have to look attractive to them.
It's actually my understanding that we have officers that are watching the meeting tonight to see how the council plans for the future as to whether or not they may be interested in applying it for Westmoreland Police Department. Ms. Frida, do we have any idea of what the impact would be on overtime if we do these raises as passed? Because I'm guessing that part-time officers that come in, you will be raising their pay appropriately also.
Correct. It'd be hard to guess on the overtime, Mayor. It just really would, because it depends on how many officers we had. Because I think the number we got out there now, you just brought it over from last year, which we're over budget already on overtime. So
yeah, we've had some extenuating circumstances this year. So
right.
I understand that there have been some problems as such. The other question that I might ask, and I'm not sure that any of us have an answer for it, of that 888,000 in the fund, how much of that is already restricted for items that's in the fund and just marked as separate items, like, for instance, the fire truck fund and things like that we have. I don't think it's going to be all of that much, but I just want to point that out, that part of those funds are already restricted.
What they put over in the fire truck fund was put over into Mark's fund that he uses, his account, and the police car's got a separate line item, separate account also when she transfers that over at the end of the year.
Okay, so those all have their own separate checking accounts?
Yes, yes. Am I right, Keisha?
Yes, ma'am, that's correct.
Okay, if that's
So-
the case, then we can take that extra $25,000 hit. And you look at it, that $25,000 hit is basically just what you're putting back for the fire engine fund. So, you got to think about what's important out of all of it in the grand scheme of things of keeping the city running.
So am I hearing you propose that we do $2 for the police, or am I misunderstanding you?
I think you need officers is what I'm saying.
Mayor, I'm totally agreement. And these guys, some of them are working pretty long hours and days right now because we're so thin, because we can't attract officers.
Well, based on what the mayor just spoke about and Tony's proposal, then I'm all for putting the $2 raise on the agenda for this month.
You mean on the agenda or adding it to the budget? Oh, the
Add it to the
budget.
budget. I'm sorry.
I agree. I'm there with you.
I mean, I think Chandler, you had a great idea to
Right.
go
Right.
ahead and kind of move forward. But then at the same time, I'm fearful that, like David mentioned, that we're going to begin to other municipalities are going to begin to be more attractive to folks that might want to come this way, and
Well, I agree.
we're going to miss out. So we don't want to bypass good candidates.
I totally agree. I'm in full support of that. If we can swing that 25,000, I say let's do it.
I think go ahead, David.
Where did you recommend, Mr. Mayor, we take the 25,000 from?
Well, where you're taking the other 71,000 from, you don't have but one alternative.
Okay.
Fund balance. I think we are attractive in a small town. I think people would like to work here. It's not as hectic and hustle bustle as other cities. It's just a matter of money. So if we get the money right, I think we will attract officers.
Well, I think that Ms. Frida can remember just a few years ago when we were at the end of the year, when we had to do the paperwork through the comptroller's office, 1 year under her and 2 years under Kelly, to actually borrow money from the sanitation fund for us to be able to make payroll for the remainder of the year. So we've come a long way and things are looking good. The financials for the city of Westmoreland are probably better than they've ever been, but we'll have to be vigilant. And next year when we come together for budget hearings, then there, obviously we can't take it out of our rainy day fund every year. So we're going to have to figure out where that money's going to come from.
Yeah, but those years that we had to borrow for the general fund, most of that was when property taxes were late coming out, when we had that software problem in Isabel's office, and then it followed on the next year, and then it was like December, latter of November, 1st of December, and you can't run your general fund most of the time unless, you know, if you don't start having property taxes come in October. So
there again, that's why you have your rainy day fund available.
Right.
So just what I'm saying is the council has a good fund balance and have something to work with, so you can make these tough decisions.
okay, with what we just talked about, the additional dollar for the police department, that's adding 25,138 plus 1,200 for Mark a year. If we give him $100 a month, then that's going to take another 26,338 plus the 71 that we already had calculated. That's a total of 97,804 to come out of fund balance. Keisha, are you doing the math along with me here?
Yes. And that's what I got, 97,804.
Right, okay. Just wanted somebody else to be in agreement with me. And that's with only making, with the last revised budget that Keisha gave us, that's only making adjustment to the fire chief's salary, the additional money on the salary for police officers, plus their Social Security and retirement, the benefits that come along with the salary increase.
So I think Keisha wanted to take some of that money to upgrade City Hall from this year's budget to take it to next year's. Just get that on the table. I'm not sure exactly where that would fit in. How much you think you're gonna have left out of that money you didn't use, Keisha? For those, what,
Should be,
4,000?
it should be like 3,000 and a little bit more than that.
Okay.
Did you reclassify that 1,500, Keisha?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so that would take 1,500 off of 4,000. So it'd be 2,500 left.
No, you had me move it to somewhere else.
Right. Oh, okay. That puts
So it
it
brought
back.
it back up to the 4,000.
I
And
see
then,
now.
yeah, we spent a little bit doing the plexiglass windows, but we're gonna have the guy come in and do the glass ones, and it's like almost $800 for that.
Oh, okay. Was there any other adjustments that we were going to make to the budget from the last time?
Let me look at my notes. We got just a minute. I don't see anything else.
You gonna put my keys in the door, so door back?
I want.
Oh. Okay, yeah, you're fine. I just meant when he gets ready to leave. Okay. Well,
While we're going through that, do you have a breakdown on how much of that will actually be salary and how much will be Social Security, et cetera?
do I have it or does Frida have it?
Either one of you. I didn't know if you had a breakdown for it. Right now, I just put it all under salaries, but I didn't know
Right.
if you had a breakdown for all of it together.
Yeah, I do. Let's go back.
I mean, the total will be the same. Just want to
Right.
make sure that we have a handle on it.
Okay, the amount under salaries. Would become 461,726. Are you adding these as well, Keisha? Social Security would become 37,250. And retirement would become 37,800. And under fire, it would become 9,600. His is under payable. There's no social security taken out under his flat amount. I don't think, or is it, Keisha? Do you know?
I
Maybe
do
it-
not, but I'll check on it, and if so, I figure that part.
Well, I can tell you real quick of what we already got. Yeah, it is. Yes, it is. So you'd have to increase Social Security under the fire department by $91, $92.
So the new number,
Well, let's not do an odd dollar there. Let's take it up to 90, 92 even. Well, no, let's see.
$22.70.
Right. We want an even number.
Yeah, or 2265, either one. Well, if you don't want a 5 on the, yeah, 2270 be good.
And what would the salary part be?
9,600 for fire chief. So if we give the $2, that would make the starting officer 1725. Is that correct, Garrett?
Ma'am, yes, ma'am, Miss Freda, that is correct.
And then what few officers you got left, it would just increase their rate that they're at now by another $1.
By another $2.
No, we've already got $1 in there, another $1.
Okay, you're
Like-
just saying from the numbers that we have before us and then adding the additional dollar.
Yes, like for instance, Ken Whitty, his with the first $1 would be 1825, and you add another one, he'd be at 1925.
That is correct.
That is correct, Miss Freda.
Other items for discussion?
We are gonna get all the part-time certified officers on the same playing field, aren't we?
That should happen. With the implementation of this budget, it would be the perfect time to do that. I'm not sure if we need to just do that as a general vote with the budget, or if that has to be separate. I think it could just go with the budget and set all the officers, especially the part-time certified, all at one salary or one pay per hour.
Yep.
Which would be 1725.
Correct.
Yeah, if you were certified, it wouldn't matter if you were full-time or if you were part-time, it would be 1725.
Right.
Honestly, I think that would be a very good move because as you look down the list, there are several officers that it'd just be nice for everyone to be on the same scale.
I guess looking down the list, I see some part-time $14.94 and some part-time $15.25.
Okay, we're actually discussing that, the chief and I now. The part-time, non-certified should be the ones that you know, if they want to stay at $14.94, that gives a few extra pennies to the folks that are certified, that are part-time. And there are some on this list that are certified, they're making $14.94.
That's what I thought. Dan and Elizabeth are both certified, aren't they?
Liz is, she went through transition school just a few months ago. But Dan is not a certified officer
Okay.
in Tennessee, put it that way. Do you want to put the leave the part-time non-certified at $14.94, or do you want to bring them up at least to 15 even?
I say 15 even.
The chief is applauding you.
Well, when I figured the dollar increase before, like I said, I figured per week, 2 part-time at $15.25 at 40 hours a week, which that's overstated, but it puts a little cushion in there. So if you do put them up from $14.94 to 15, yeah, that little difference ain't gonna hurt our numbers we got here, I don't think. So Keisha, the total on the general fund balance, we would be taking 97,904.
That's what I got.
Okay. That's with the fire chief, Social Security, and his $1,200 a month salary plus the police department. Then when you get over to the sanitation, you're going to have to get your revenues and expenses balanced. You're going to have to use 4,386 from the.
Let me interrupt. Let me get my spreadsheet up to date. So what you'll do, you'll add a fund balance of how much? That'd be a separate line item, correct?
It'd be that 27,100 under revenues at the very top of your revenues for general fund.
I see that. Okay. And
It would
quote that
become-
number.
It would become 97,904.
Perfect. Thank you.
Under sanitation, Keisha, see if you agree with me, it's 4,386.
Yes.
Under streets would be 1,794. Is that what you get?
Oh, add 1,794 to the 3,800 that's already there, or 38,000.
Yes,
So
because
it
we
would
brought
be
that over.
40,000.
Yes, yes.
And the
We-
new number is
40,607.
Okay,
And then under water and sewer, we can take the way it's figured here. You got more revenues than you got expenses, which is a good thing. You can add another 2,541 to the reserve. See if you agree with me there.
2,541.
Mm-hmm. Under line item 632 under water.
and the new number?
Well, wait a minute now. I put all of it under water. Do you want to divide it out among sewer or? Say you got a reserve account for water and you got a reserve account for sewer, which we break it out to show our analysis, but it's all one fund. Do we need to put it all in water or do we need to put it all in sewer or we want to divide it out? What do you think, Mayor, when it comes to our funds there?
Okay, I missed out on that. Chief and I were discussing the part-time versus full-time, so I missed that.
In water and sewer, we've got 2,541 more revenues than we have expenditures as we've got the budget now. So that amount can go to our reserve, but do you want to put it in the water reserve or the sewer reserve or split it out among them?
I would definitely split them because you need depreciation for both of them.
Keisha, what do you want to do with it?
I mean, splitting it's fine. That would just be 1270 and 1271.
Uh-huh. Put 1270 in water and 1271 in sewer.
Sounds good to me.
And the new number?
Take it. Okay, in water, I got 193, 235. And in sewer, 115, 361.
Did you say 361?
Yes, sir.
So right now with those new numbers, that puts our revenues and expenditures balance in all funds. And the only way it would change if we want to make some changes to any line item.
I think we're over the mountain.
Now the job is getting on top of it during the year. staying on top of it. Let's put it that way.
Okay. Any other discussion before we leave that section of the meeting?
So Keisha, when you make those adjustments, you'll send us out a new ordinance for the budget and a new tax rate ordinance, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, sounds good to me.
Okay, and also, if we're running that in the newspaper, once again, then get them those updated numbers so they'll have those to publish.
Okay.
So I'm guessing, without anyone speaking up at this point, the tax rate will remain as is.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I see a couple of heads nodding, so that's okay. We will be having a public hearing at our next meeting on the tax rate and also on the budget ordinance. So that will happen during that meeting. So any other items to discuss before we leave this section?
You might want to make it clear, Mayor, while you're on the air, that there is no tax increase this year. We just said leave it as it was, but there was same as last year, correct?
That is correct. Okay, moving on. The next item is the reopening of the city parks. I've contacted a lot of our sister cities and got input from them as to what they're doing and they're not doing. No playground at any park is opened in Sumner County. There are some that are south of us that opened, and they are actually requiring the one that I spoke with or heard at a meeting said that they put out a notice and the citizens that bring their children to the playground are required to clean the playground equipment and sanitize it prior to their child getting on it. And that way it ensures that it is clean and sanitized, and they request it, but they clean it when they leave. So it gets a double portion of cleaning. I just want to check and see what all you guys have heard from coaches, what their plans are, how they want to follow the CDC guidelines and get these things open back up tomorrow.
So ball fields are open in the other cities, Mayor, that you've talked to around us?
Okay, like if, for instance, in Gallatin, where they have the 4 ball fields together, it's my understanding that none of those fields are open. But where they have like an A and B field that are separated in different parts of the park, they have opened those fields. And they're following CDC guidelines. They were the only ones that I spoke with that said they were actually allowing games to take place on the field now. Most other places are just allowing practice and stuff like that. So they're still being very cautious and very optimistic about how they're moving forward.
When I was in Gallatin today, I came down by the Civic Center there and over to the right, those ball fields. I don't think those are Triple Creek. It's that first set as you're coming out of Gallatin. They were playing a game, looked like little boys, little league game on those fields. It was an actual game.
And I guess what we need to decide tonight is what we're going to require and how we are going to move ahead. Because I've had no one submit anything to me in writing about what they're actually requesting other than opening them up. Understanding the high school and middle school sports, they're allowing 10 people per coach to be in different areas of the field. Can any of y'all confirm that?
Yes, I can confirm that.
Yeah, I talked to one of the coaches the other day, and that's what they're doing. That's the football team.
Okay, we just need to lay down some guidelines and make the determination how we're going to proceed, and who's going to police it. Is the coaches going to be responsible for policing it, or the parents that are there? And also, some of the cities are not allowing the dugouts to be open. We need to think about all aspects of this, and only one city that I spoke with had the basketball courts open.
I think we've got to set some guidelines. I know that, but now I think baseball and softball, I think we're good opening them up. I think we need to keep the playground equipment closed. And maybe the basketball court closed, but the tennis court, I think it can be opened. And I did notice that Ricky Woodard's park, somebody, either the tape fell down or somebody took it down. I've seen that yesterday, I think.
We could allow practice in the month of June and then give further guidance come July. I don't think any of them's actually going to be playing games. I think they just want to practice and have social distancing and just tell them they can't use the dugouts.
Okay, it'll be just whatever rules that you want to extend that they're going to be required to follow. As far as the tape around the pavilion playground, that's been torn down a couple of times. Most places are starting to open the pavilions back up. There again, they're just kind of being cautious about it. Some of them said that they had taken, like where we have the picnic tables, they had taken a table or two out and spread it apart. I think ours are probably at a pretty good distance right now. I haven't measured them to see if they're 6 foot apart, but we may have to take 1 or 2 out to make it meet all the standards.
Mayor, if you want to just come up, you've talked to more people than we have. So if you want to come up with some guidelines, just go ahead and put something together and shoot it to us, or just communicate it. But we need to get something out to the people.
Okay, most of the calls that actually come into me was not about when we were opening, it was about when they were going to get their money back that they'd spent.
What's that now? Who?
Most of the people that had contacted me was not so much about opening stuff. They had spent a lot of money for them to play, and
sponsors.
They wanted to know if they were going to get their money back and when they were getting their money back. And if they were not going to get their money back, was the money going to be used toward the facilities to update it and put in like new fences and stuff like that. And I informed them we just provided the area that the leagues and everything fell under someone else. And I didn't realize one of our sister counties, but the city doesn't do any of the fields and stuff, but it falls under county regulations. So it was kind of interesting to get to talk to some of the other folks about it. I've only had one of the coaches to call me. So if you would get in touch with some of them, just ask them. I know that David and Tony and maybe Doug also has a lot of input with some of the coaches that have these. Of course, I know Little League is pretty much gone for the entire year simply because the National Little League Association deemed it. But have him to kind of draw us some guidelines as to what they want to do and present them back to me. And I'll see if there's anything that I think is far out from what the other cities are doing. And like I said, I'd like to get these things open back up tomorrow.
Yeah, I would like to get the ball fields open back up in the tennis courts.
Yeah.
And I'll get with some of the coaches and even the president of the league and see what they've been discussing and what their plan is.
Yeah, Mr. Spears, he'll help you on that.
Okay, very good. I actually tried to get some quotes on redoing the tennis court and the basketball court while we were down, but everyone was down with us, so we didn't receive any. Okay, Ms. Fraser, you put on about the police chief application, so that'll be next.
Well, Keisha informed me that we had 58 applications, and I just thought we need to come up with a method of, I don't know if it's a group of people or 2 or 3 or what, get together and go over all these applications, and because it's going to be very obvious, some of them can be weeded out without them, because 58 and 58 applications, Keisha don't need to make copies of all 58 for I don't think, for the council, and definitely not the public. But like I said, when we've had other applications, I think our last one was for the building inspector. All 5 of us agreed on the ones to weed out right off the bat. So I'd just like some suggestions on what we could legally do to shorten this process.
Well, I know that Ms. Keisha has taken the initiative and has started a spreadsheet with qualifications and other items on it. And I don't know how far she's gotten with that. It was quite a monumental task.
I've got everything on there and sent it out to everyone to look at.
Okay. I'll throw this out. I mentioned this to Mr. Mayor about it, but what would be wrong with forming a committee made up of the mayor and vice mayor? And I've spoken to former Chief Ray about being on the committee, and he's excited about it. And I've spoken with a Sumner County deputy that is a citizen of ours here, Nathan Driver, and he would be glad to sit on that process and let y'all 4 narrow it down to however 3 or 4 candidates.
I think it needs to be more than 3 or 4, as many applicants we got, at least 10 anyway.
Yeah, I think 10 would be a good number.
And our former Chief Ray and Nathan both said they would be happy to even sit in on the interviews, so they would know, they would know better questions to ask than probably I would.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would add, if we go this route, of course, Keisha needs to be there because she's kind of the tracks everything. I think it's a good idea myself.
One other suggestion is that the MTAS will help with this, maybe putting together a panel like Mr. Lee's talking about. But Gary Jekyll certainly would help with that, I'm sure, if you asked him to get the number down to a manageable number.
Yes.
Right.
Thank you, John.
What's your thoughts, Mayor?
I'm in agreement with you. 58 applicants is a monumental task, and just going through them and weeding them down, it sounds like it would be a good place to start.
John, is that something we need to vote on, or can the mayor just appoint a few people to do this task, or what's the legal process on that?
I think as long as you're doing it in a non-discriminatory manner, as long as you're giving everybody a fair shot, I think the mayor could certainly get together a committee with you and a couple of other people. But you still got to be concerned, of course, about the sunshine law. So, but since the mayor doesn't really have a vote, I guess he could be on the same committee with you if you wanted to help with this and with those other officers that Mr. Leith mentioned and maybe Gary Jekyll. But why don't you just agree to let the mayor talk to Mr. Jekyll for recommendations and then come back to tell you sort of ways to come up with? Because I like the idea of a committee, and that's what we typically do on something like this. So if you've already got a couple of people that have said they're willing to serve that have law enforcement backgrounds, that's certainly a good place to start. And maybe Mr. Jekyll could sit in with the former chief and also the deputy sheriff that Mr. Lee's talking about. And, maybe he could winnow down those numbers, get it to a more manageable amount and then have something to bring back to the council for interviews. So
Okay.
that's just an idea.
Well, the mayor has authority to appoint committees, so could he go ahead and do that?
I think he could, yes.
Actually,
As long as he doesn't want to do anything without the support of the board, though. I mean, obviously, the board's got to be backing him in this. There's no point in going down that road with him doing one path and the board coming another way. So I think that's sort of what you need to talk about. If that's kind of the direction you want to go, I'm sure the mayor would be happy to do what he can to help that happen.
Actually, we have questions and everything that MTS got together for us when we did the search before. So we already have that in the files.
And we've got the qualifications, because we got to go by the job description and the qualifications that was advertised from.
And I'm willing to bet that if you've got 58 applicants, a lot of them don't meet the minimum qualifications. And I'm just telling you, that's just the way it is with these things. So that's something that even I guess the Keisha could even look at that initially just to see if they meet the minimum qualifications, because you got that many applicants, you certainly don't want to hire someone that doesn't meet the minimum qualifications.
Well, the spreadsheet that she put together had the minimum qualifications on it. And she did an excellent job on getting that to us. So we could mark off a few just from this spreadsheet without even looking at the applications.
Well, I was able to mark off 38 that didn't meet our qualifications.
Yeah, I think you want to be careful when you look at the computer skills. Keisha and I talked about that. They got a master's degree and they didn't put anything. I think they just assumed if you got an associate's or a BS that you would know software. So that's the only caution I would say.
Okay, I'll get together with Keisha and with Miss Freda, and we'll figure out how we want to progress with that. But I'd say that will be our committee with former Chief Ray Alfamontano and Deputy
Driver.
Nathan Driver. So the big part of that will be getting a meeting time together when everyone could meet, or possibly could come in and go through applications by themselves back there at my desk and go through. Might be a good start.
I don't think we heard from Doug or Chandra on that. I want to make sure that all 5 of us are in agreement with this.
Yes.
I agree.
Yes.
Okay.
I've been nodding my head, but yes, I agree completely.
Okay. I can only see one at a time, whoever's speaking.
I think it's a good idea to have that committee that weeds those the folks out that are not qualified, and then as you go through that list, you're going to find others that may be qualified, but they just don't meet some other qualification, or there's something about them that you feel leery of. there's nothing wrong with that when you start weeding these applicants out. That's how you have to narrow it down. So thank you for the committee that has volunteered themselves.
Very good. Next item on the agenda is the Mike Williams water tap. Tony?
All right. I think Mike's talked to more than just me, but I just put it on the agenda. Most of you know he bought 2 houses on Pleasant Grove Road, and he put in 2 water taps. One is a brick home and one is pretty dilapidated. And his intentions was to, upgrade that old house as well. He's determined that it's not worth repairing, and he's just going to use 1 water meter. And he asked, would we excuse him from that, give him credit on the next water tap he puts in. Of course, there's labor involved putting it in and taking it out if we choose to do that. So I guess I'm just the messenger, and see what you think about it. I don't know that we want to get into something like this. This is basically a business decision. And so I'll stand by and listen to y'all's thoughts.
Can you tell us a little bit more, Tony, about where there are 2 water taps, correct?
Right.
And they're located, the ones that he had paid for were supposed to be where?
Well, they're on Pleasant Grove Road, right in that curve. You know where Tanya and Sean live?
Yes.
It's that brick house and that old house right before you get to the curve.
Okay.
And he's supposedly has a contract. Well, as far as I know, he's got a contract on the house, and I believe he said 3 acres. So it's he's fixed to turn it over, sounds like.
Well, could he not absorb the cost of the water tap in his selling price?
I don't know that answer.
What was the cost? What did he have to pay for those 2 taps again? Remind me.
He's outside the city, right, Mayor? So that would be.
It's my understanding that he bought 5 taps in one day, 2 for Pleasant Grove Road and 3 for another road where he has land. And he purchased all 5 taps the same day. And both of those 2 taps on Pleasant Grove Road, we're talking over a year ago, because Jackie Farley's the one that installed the tap. So they've been there for a while, and actually there's meters in both. One of them is being used. The other one is just sitting idle. So it's been there for a while. And the cost of it was, I think outside the city, it's $3,000.
Right.
So the property he's selling, does it consist of the one that the mayor was talking about that hasn't been used? It's just sitting there idle? Is that
Yeah.
what he's selling?
Yeah. He's selling both houses and 2 or 3 acres of land.
So is the new owner not going to utilize the tap either?
Well, that was he didn't say that, but I was thinking that, Mike didn't want to upgrade the house, but whoever's buying that property might want to. He may be a carpenter himself, and he may want to upgrade it and put it on the market. So I don't know. I can't answer some of these questions.
Well, I just know that the payment was made, the tap was requested, the tap was installed. Mike actually paid to bore the road because it was out in the county. I guess it was required that the road be bored. And actually, I didn't know until just a couple of weeks ago that a meter had been installed in it. And then Aaron went out and checked it and said there was actually a meter in the box that was ready to go. So my thoughts are, once they have been installed, I've not known of us in the past to give a refund or a credit because the materials were purchased, the labor was involved in putting it in. Should the council decide to do this, there's going to have to be some records kept because let's say 10 years from now, someone purchases that property and they want the tap, and they're going to come in and say, well, there's a tap there. I want hooked to it. So if you give credit for that tap somewhere else, we need to be able to document that we're owed the money for that tap up front before they hook onto it.
I'm like the mayor. I've never heard of this
No.
been done before either.
I think it may put us in a prickly situation on down the road if we do this now.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody
Right.
come back. So I'm kind of leery on doing that.
Well,
There's
I've
no
got
doubt about
property.
it. There's no doubt about it. If he don't ask, he's not going to get it. So I don't blame him for asking. Don't get me wrong.
I've got property that's the same situation. It's got a tap on it, and I'll never put a house or never. I don't say I won't never set it for a house to be put there, but I still got a tap on it. I've got 2 different properties, maybe 3 different properties like that. So
We need to just agree, or we need to put that on the agenda. What we need to do to dispose of this? It sounds like the idea is we don't want to get into doing this. Once you pay it, like the mayor said, you've done the deal.
I'm still confused of why he hasn't hooked up when he put the taps there. What was the original intention? I wish that was a question he was here to answer. I would just like to know that from my own preference.
I think if I understand it right, he was going to remodel the older house. So
Correct.
then he needed a tap for it. Then he needed a tap for the brick house. But I think he since then decided that it probably wasn't worth fooling with. Remodeling, probably too far gone.
Oh,
I believe you're correct. That's kind of what Mike told me, that he was going to remodel it and then decided not to. And then he thought, well, I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to ask him if I can get a credit on this to use somewhere else. I told him that wasn't the mayor's decision. That's a utility commission decision.
Well, like I said before, I don't understand why he can't add that if he wants credit or if he wants money in lieu of or whatever, that he can't add that into the price that he's selling the property for. If he's got that in the property, why would he not want to get that same amount out? But that's his decision, I guess.
My opinion, we don't do anything. And if he wants to put it on, the agenda, or did he ask us to put it on the agenda?
No, he just asked about it, and Tony had brought it up earlier, so that's how it got on the agenda tonight.
Okay. Well, my opinion is we don't do nothing, and if Mr. Williams wants to put it on the agenda for us to vote on, then we can vote on it then.
Okay.
That's my opinion.
Mr. Bentley, you want to let him know that, or do you want me to give him a call and tell him?
Yeah, why don't you call him if you don't care?
Okay, I'll take care of it.
Okay.
So, next item is public works staffing. Mr. Bentley, you're up.
Yeah, of course, we know Tom Fisher, he drove the trash truck 2 or 2.5 days a week, depending on the load, and Aaron can correct me. But I think sometimes it's 2 days and sometimes you have to go back and dump the trash another day. So he's not driving the truck. He is driving the sludge truck, is my understanding, which again, that's not, I don't know what frequency that's done on. So my thoughts would be, could we move Mr. Fisher over to Aaron's group and use him usually to do some other jobs there? So I want to get that on the table. And I understand safety is an issue. We've already talked about a man down alarm, which would be something if anybody had one on, went down, it would alarm for, I think, like 15 seconds. And if the wearer did not respond, then it would be a loud alarm that anybody could hear, and it would be sending emails, texts, phone calls, whatever you program that meter to do. So from a safety standpoint, that would cover having somebody there with Chris. So I just want to make sure we're utilizing Mr. Fisher in the best way, productivity to get other things done, because we got plenty of other stuff to do. So I just want to get it on the table, and maybe there's something I don't know about it. So I just want to have a discussion about it.
Aaron, how many men short are you and staff in your department?
3 to 4 right now.
3 to
I've
4
got
short
Jacob.
full-time?
I'm 2 short full-time and 2 part-time, or 1 part-time. I'd really like to have 2 part-time myself, but we usually keep at least 1. With Jacob being on workers' comp right now, that's where the extra person comes in.
In my opinion, if he can be utilized in public works, there's stuff that he cannot do down there or is not doing, and if he can be utilized in public works, I think we need to do that.
And he's a good backup for Chris, because he knows how to do the samples. In case of vacation or sickness or whatever, he is trained to step in. So I just think there's times that I believe he could help us out other places.
Has he ever done that
The
before?
only thing that I will point out and interject is in meetings with TDEC, they did require us to have 2 at the plant. So, if we move him out, does that mean we're going to have to move someone else in to be a full-time position? Because our standard operating policy for that plant that we have now, not the new plant, but the one now, actually calls for 3 operators. And the way we're covering that now is we have penny contract, and then we have the 2 operators that are there, Chris and Thomas. Now, I know that Aaron is wanting to go down there and start working and training. That is his goal. So, but there again, if we pull Aaron off and let him go to the plant, then that's leaving his position open right now. And I'm sure he'll be the first one to tell you that he's covered up right now.
Yes.
Are you not getting any applications, Aaron, at all?
No, I've had a couple people come pick some up, but I haven't had any come back in yet. I would like to try to advertise maybe in Gallatin, Portland, Lafayette area, something like that, somewhere close, Scottsville, just to try to bring some people, some interest anyways in. Just trying to talk and get people's attention about it is not getting it right now, but we're definitely looking.
Yeah, Mayor, I would TDEC said there need to be 2 people down there. Of course, we know technology is changing. We're talking on a Zoom, we're doing a Zoom meeting right now. So everything is changing. I don't know if they would consider a man down alarm something that would be take care of the safety factor. Might revisit that and see what they say.
I don't believe theirs was really concerning safety. It was making sure that all the test was done and the maintenance at the plant done.
Oh, really?
And, oddly enough, for right now is the season when the algae starts growing, the things start going, that you have to stay on top of the chemicals and all the not only that, but the area around the plant, the beds and stuff like that. So the sludge truck becomes a pretty major item this time of year, and there are several things to look at. It's not just the fact that of safety for them being there, because where we go into safety is when they come in on the weekends, because TDEC is requiring us to check the plant. They haven't mandated it, they requested it. So let me be plain about that. It's being checked twice each day on the weekend. One of the things that I had thought about and discussed was possibly putting a weekend or night crew on. And Aaron and Chris and all of us have discussed that. So we've looked at a lot of options here, especially during the pandemic.
Right. Okay, I just thought it was worth discussing and getting the ins and outs and getting everybody on board to see if we could help Aaron out, but looks like TDEC has our hands tied, and we don't want to get in any more trouble with them than we already are. So,
If Thomas can't drive the garbage truck, I think that's part of it. Is he still driving the sludge truck?
Is that, Mayor, you want to answer that?
you're muted, Mayor.
Yeah, it wouldn't unmute for me. I spoke, John, don't let me get into trouble here with HIPAA stuff, saying something like this in a meeting, but there is a difference in driving the garbage truck and driving the sludge truck, and in the fact that with the sanitation truck, and Aaron's here, so he's very qualified to answer this question and say if it's true or not. With the sanitation truck, you have a constant motion where you're like this, looking at your mirrors. And I understand that there are several areas that you're backing the truck up. With the sludge truck, you're basically going in a forward momentum, and you're out in a field spreading the sludge, and you don't. There's no one around and that. So that seems to be the difference in it. But if he was doing something that was heavy equipment constantly, and that was where we ran into the troubles with it.
Okay, Mayor, you were saying that TDEC required them to come in, or requested someone to come in twice over the weekend, which would be once on Saturday, once on Sunday, correct?
No, twice on Saturday, twice on Sunday.
Okay.
And
So,
with the heavy rains that we've had, sometimes they have actually had to come in 3 times. There was a couple of incidences where we actually, the tanks were ready to overflow, and we were able to save them. And that was TDEC's point, was you have someone to look at that. And we've looked at getting extra alarms installed on it to give us time to react to that also.
well, where I was going with this, I'm looking at the timesheet that we get each month, and Thomas Fisher, he's always at a flat 40 hours a week. So it looks like Chris Carter is coming in all those shifts. Is that correct?
That is correct. Chris has been doing most of it. He told Thomas that he would do it pretty much during the spring, But during the summer, Chris is going to be taking off. He has quite a bit of vacation and things like that, but he's going to start utilizing, and he's got a lot of events. And Thomas said that he would start coming in on the weekends to cover those. So,
That's where I
and
was,
this is totally a council decision. If y'all want to make some changes, you know, that's one thing about it. You guys are in charge of the stuff.
that's what I was getting at. I mean, Thomas is at a lesser rate of pay than Chris, and naturally that's going to be overtime each week. And if Chris is taking the entire weekend, then we could save some money right there if Thomas was coming in.
Whoa,
We lost electricity.
Huh,
sound like a transformer blew.
Yep.
And
Are y'all out?
no,
No.
I'm good here.
it's trying to reset, I think. Everybody still with us? Doug? Doug? Hello, Doug.
I believe Doug's out.
I believe Doug's
I think
gone.
we lost the mayor.
Mayor?
Mary's
Am I
gonna-
here?
You're here, you're there, Frida.
We can see you, Miss Frida.
Well, I'm on my phone, that's why, I guess. And as long as I've got charge, I can go.
We lost Doug and the mayor.
Yeah,
What
Hmm.
about John and Brad? Oh, he's in a different world.
he's right in the center of my picture.
I'm still here.
It's still making a noise.
Hmm. All right.
That'll stop a meeting, won't it?
It stopped it quickly.
I'm still on, but I'm gonna walk away for a minute. I'll be right back.
Great.
Mike's auction machine was going off and he's laying in there asleep, so I had to go wake him up.
Hmm.
Can you hear me, Chandra?
I can. I can see you and hear you still.
Okay. What happened to the rest of them? I had to go in the other room.
David stepped away for a moment,
Okay.
and we still don't
So,
have Doug or the mayor back.
Yeah. No, everybody's on here, but you and the mayor. Mhm. So I guess you can come over and join me, or get it on your phone. What can you do?
The mayor's on the phone here at City Hall.
They should be able to get on their phones possibly.
Yeah, Doug's gonna try his phone.
Is he gonna try his phone?
Call back if you need anything. All right. No,
This has
no,
turned into an interesting meeting.
We're in a holding pattern till we see what's going on. Okay. John, are we still recording? No. Oh, yeah, we're still recording. Okay. All right, call it back, Neil.
Okay, Jerry just called. He said the transformer in front of his house blew. That's why he's no longer on here. He's gonna try to reconnect on his cell phone. But he said if we want to go ahead and continue, there's only a few more items, we can.
Yeah, they're pretty, the one I got's really from Mr. Bradley. If you want, Vice Mayor, you want to go ahead? You're the Vice Mayor. Frida?
Okay, if I can see. So do we finish up the public works staffing?
I'd like to get Mr. Bradley's opinion on Thomas not being able to drive the garbage truck, but yet we're allowing him to drive the sludge truck.
It seems strange to me too, Mr. Leith, but it's apparently I think that he has a doctor has taken the position that that's the way it needs to be. Which we can, we don't need to be talking about that on YouTube.
Okay.
No.
Okay, Aaron, just what will be your, with this dollar increase, Aaron, what will be your start and pay for a full-time person?
13.
It was 12?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And I know one of the guys that asked about coming to work here. He came and got an application, and then he spoke with me after he got the application, and he was, inquiring about pay and things like that. And which I told him that, you'd start out part-time at 10 and then go once you went full-time, you'd go to 12 with benefits. And at this current time, he's working at MAPCO, and he said that that's what he's making at MAPCO. So he didn't want to ride the garbage truck when he could work at MAPCO making the same money.
Okay. Well, I'd say keep putting that notices out there for applications. Can we already voted, the rest of you guys, have we already voted to take applications for public works?
I think we have.
I want to think so.
The last time that I remember it going to vote was before hiring the last two part-time guys.
I guess if we need to cover ourselves, we could put it on the agenda. And
I agree, Chandra. Let's get it refreshed. It almost needs to be open all time for public works.
well, maybe
Yes.
that's what should be put on the agenda then. Yeah.
Right. We can make that when we make a motion to advertise, let it be an open, ongoing thing.
Right.
Okay. Carter House on Locust Street, Tony?
Yeah, this shouldn't take long. I want to make a statement here. Ms. Wolf is doing a great job. I mean, she's getting things done and she's staying on top of it. So I appreciate what she's doing. One of the things, I guess, was on Locust Street. Most people know it's the end of Ricky Woodard Park. When she got to checking into that to ask them to clean up the place, the two co-executors said, we don't own it anymore. The city owns it. And I'm not sure, and they don't want anything for it. They just want their hands washed of it. And they want to give it to the city. I think it's about maybe 2 acres there. So I don't know if Mr. Bradley remembers anything in the past about that, or Frida, but that's 2 acres that we could, the only expense we're going to have is tear down the old house at some point in time. Need a little guidance on that, Mr. Bradley.
We certainly can do that. If you can email me the description of that property where I can find it and see just who does own it right now. Because they seem to think that the city already owns it.
Well, they thought they did some documentation a couple of years ago, and apparently it didn't get voted on, like things fall in the crack. So just description of the property, okay?
Yeah. We can
I
always
think-
do a quick claim deed for them to sign.
I don't know if this has anything to do with it or not, but this was before my time. Under the housing grant, the city got some grant money to build some new houses for people. And I think that was one of them. I'm not sure. But there's files at City Hall, and Meredith remembers about it. So, but I don't know what the procedure is if it comes back to the city at that point. I don't know.
Well, I'm sure the taxes hadn't been paid in some time. But all right, we'll get the description of the property. Hang on one second. Doug's calling. Hello? Hello? Yeah. No, he told us just to go ahead, and we only got a couple more things. So we're talking about the Carter House and rezoning Mill Street, which you know about that anyway. So yeah, we'll be done here in 5 or 10 minutes.
Well, we got department reports, Tony.
Well, are the departments, are they available besides Aaron? We've already got his written report. We got a written report from the chief. City Hall sitting there with us. And Fire, he's on vacation. So what I need to tell him, Frida, is to come to my house, or just we'll cover him in the minutes. Okay.
I don't know, whatever he wants to do.
He's okay to go. Yeah, he said. Okay, we'll get that description of the property to Mr. Bradley so he can move forward, whatever he's got to do. Now let me ask you this. Do we need to put this on the agenda and vote to do something, or just wait on you to do your thing, Mr. Bradley?
Yeah, let me find out what the status of that property is, because it may actually be owned by the delinquent tax committee. You know, it could be that it was, purchased by the county as a delinquent tax committee. So that's let me find out about it too. I need to have somebody know where exactly this is, like on the tax map, so I can check the title on it.
All right, we'll get
Then
that.
then we can decide what to do.
All right, we'll get that to you. Okay, I'm finished, Frida.
Okay, now the rezoning of Mill Street, that was the mayor's item, so I don't know. It went before planning and zoning, so I guess it's maybe just to get our approval. I don't know what that was.
Yeah, Mill Street is that little short street right past Dr. Carter Park. Everybody know where that is?
Right.
Yeah,
The
okay.
dead end street?
Pardon?
What?
Is that a dead end street?
It is a dead end street.
It is.
Okay, I know which one it is then.
And
Does
if
anybody
they-
know does anybody know why the rezoning was? Of course, Doug would have known if he was still here.
I think I heard they want to build a duplex in there.
Where
So
Nitschwitz property used to be on the right as you're going up Mill Street. They tore the old house down. Lays in behind the daycare.
So planning and zoning is okay with it. I think we just need to get it on the agenda and approve it. We'll get it on the agenda. I guess we'll approve it.
Yeah. There's another agenda item, Keisha.
If I could speak a little bit on that.
Yeah.
What little bit I've talked to the mayor about that, and well, here comes the mayor now. He's walking in, fixing to come in City Hall, but I believe that it was already zoned and qualified for a duplex. I believe they're wanting to build something a little bigger than that, but he's coming in the back door. He should be here in just a minute, so he could speak on that a little bit more.
Hey, we'll let him speak on that. You want to? Tony, you have any idea what's going on? You think it is a transformer?
Sounds like it. By the sound it made, and then the mayor said it was out of his house.
Susie don't have electricity.
Who don't?
Susie Sloan.
Susie Sloan. So it's out down the old 31E.
Yeah, we don't have any either. David, do you have electricity?
Yes, we're
Okay,
good
hear
here.
me.
Okay, bye.
We've got down, Jerry, we've got down to the rezoning of Mill Street. You want to tell us what that's about?
Okay, I think the address is 1209 Mill Street.
Uh-huh.
It's been requested, Green Lid Design has actually asked that be rezoned from R1 to R2. The difference in the R1 and R2 is basically just a couple different differences. Townhouses or single wide mobile homes. So with the developer, I don't think he wants to go in with mobile homes, but it came before planning and zoning. And according to our state planner, it met all the qualifications, and of course rezoning issues take 2 readings of ordinance and a public hearing. So you know, the council is the only one that has the authority to rezone property.
Okay, so that's just going to be an agenda item for our regular meeting.
That is correct. Someone will have to write the ordinance for it. So that will have to be done before the meeting so we can get it out.
Okay. And then, Mayor, on the other item that we discussed when you were en route was the Carter House on Locust Street. And Mr. Bradley's going to check into that and see what the status is on who owns it or unpaid taxes or whatever, and get back with us.
Okay, I think the 18 and maybe just the 19 taxes is the only ones that haven't been paid. Possibly 18. We looked it up in City Hall, and at that point, it hadn't gone into gone to Chancery Court or anything yet.
Okay. All right, that brings us down to department reports, and I'm going to turn it back over to you, Jerry.
Okay. The chief is here, and he will present his report. He's getting unpacked over here. Looks like a lot of the city lost something from that transformer.
You're right here.
Good afternoon, council members. As I have emailed you my monthly reports already, and I've also given each one of y'all a copy of the month of May's stats. And I've also gave you a copy that you should have in front of you involving the animal control and the codes calls. I want to discuss any of them, look over them, and if you have any questions on any one of them, I'll be happy to explain it to you and try to answer your questions the best I can.
Garrett, on your breakdown on all your calls, why is there not a category for arrests made? You don't have one for arrests nor citations written. Hello, see there?
I'm looking over this, these 150 or 200 calls. What this consists of, Ms. Frida?
Where are you at now? I'm looking at the breakdown, not the
Yes.
summary.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am. That's what I'm at, where it lists all the
Yeah,
like property checks and such.
yeah.
We don't have a breakdown of all the arrests that we do. this is a printout and a spreadsheet that the calls that we go on, what type of calls that we go on, and those numbers are calculated and put on this through the ECC. I've never have seen a spreadsheet or a sheet with just how many arrests we have.
Okay,
I'm not for sure there's a such thing, if anybody keeps up with that. I know it's kept up somewhere, but I don't know if I will check into that, be glad to, for those specific items that you just listed, but I have personally never seen a spreadsheet with just your arrest on Miss Carter.
well, I just don't, when the officer's on the call with dispatch, don't they clear it with them that they've made an arrest?
They clear it with arrests through dispatch or a state citation, or clear it with a report. But like I said, I've never have seen a stat sheet with just those two specific items that you was asking for.
Because I know when they write a citation, the dispatch has to give them a citation number.
They give them a OCA or case number. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, why can't they keep the log on that?
They may do somewhere, Ms. Frater. I'm sure that there's a log there, but what I'm saying, I have never seen a stat sheet made with all
Okay.
the arrests or anything on it.
Okay, thanks.
I will check into that though. I'll be glad to.
Chief, with the courts back open, or our officers back to normal on patrol now? Or
I have a 1st of May, Mr. Leaf, I've instructed my officers to go back to still remain safe during all of this still going on, but start back enforcing the traffic laws and traffic enforcement at their normal duty. Yes, sir. Our call volume, as you can see on there, from May stat, or from April stats to May, is increased 12%. So that's showing that where everything is opening back up, there's more people calls for service and stuff like that, and that's why it's a pretty good jump for a month, 12%. So May was a 12% increase on the stat report.
I'm good.
I'm okay.
I got electricity now.
Well, good.
Hey, Chief, I just commented when we went over one of the items that Amanda was doing a great job. I just wanted you to know that.
She's doing the job that she's been assigned, Mr. Bennell. I agree with you 100%. She's keeping good paperwork, and she's doing a real good job that she's been assigned to do. Yes, sir. I agree.
Yeah, we finally, she and I finally got a contact for the house on Biddle Drive. You know, the swimming pool in the front yard. And that's okay to take that out, and Mr. Steve Coach is gonna clean that up. One thing I may ask Aaron to do, once he gets the pool out, if Hammer could bush hog the yard because it's so tall. Steve said he would mow it too, but he needs you to knock it down first, if you could do that.
Yes, sir, we can do that. Hammer's actually already asked if he could do it.
Yeah, so somebody did it. They made a terrible mess. That's all I have. Thank you, Chief.
Welcome. Is that all the questions just on the stats report? Is that the monthly report questions? And are there any other questions that I may answer for y'all?
I'm good with it. Yeah.
I don't have any.
Good.
Well, I thank you.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
There's nobody here for fire, so I guess Aaron.
Okay. And you're up next.
You all already have my monthly report. I emailed it out. Has anybody got any questions on anything that I could answer?
Aaron, did you check on that over behind the field house?
Yes, sir, I did. It was actually water overflow out of from where it rained and ran down the drive there.
Okay. I'm good.
Your water loss looks good, Aaron.
Yep, that's getting better.
Thank you.
That's 2 months in a row, isn't it? Pretty good.
Yes, sir.
Have you heard from the paving?
I did get one bid turned in. I'm still trying to get in touch with Scotty's Paving. They had tried to get in touch with me, and we've been kind of playing a little bit back and forth. And I believe he said that next week he should be able to get his bid turned in.
Okay.
They finished paving Hillcrest Drive as well, up to the water tower off of Rose Street. They just finished that this week.
Now, who did that?
A1 Paving. They're kind of a smaller paving company. They don't have their own asphalt plant.
Did Verizon fund that?
Yes, ma'am. Verizon Paving. That was part of the contract with them to be able to put the tower on the water tank.
Okay.
You may not know this, but has Verizon, have they activated those towers yet? Antennas?
As of earlier this week, they had not. I had spoke with the contractor up there, and he was finishing tidying a few things up, and he said he wasn't online yet.
Okay, thank you.
I think so. Has anybody got anything else?
No, I'm good.
No, sir.
All yours, Mayor.
The only thing I've got is we're having issues with our air conditioning. And we had a guy come out. He said there's a leak in our coil, but it's still under warranty. So he says he can get that replaced, and we'll just have to pay for his labor and for him to gas it back up. So it looks like for his visit today and for him to repair everything, it's going to be like around $500.
Got to get it fixed.
Yeah.
Before Meredith gets back.
Right. Yeah, that's all I got, I reckon, unless you have questions about something else.
Well, I'm good.
Looks like it brings us to the end of our agenda.
Well, let's talk just a little bit about something. Are we going to have a live meeting on our next meeting, 18th? We're going to meet in the chambers room, council room.
I believe that everyone else is meeting in person, so
Okay.
that's
What, what,
it's going to be hard to have a hearing by Zoom.
yeah. Well, yeah, but I'm thinking about configuration of are we gonna keep the 6-foot thing in place for the council and anybody that shows up? Is that the idea?
I think that is good. Half capacity of the room will be what, I think that room holds 38. So, half of that, I think we'll be in good shape. We may have to limit folks coming in that want to, if they want to speak, but I think we'll have plenty of room.
Yeah, since we didn't have a tax increase, I wouldn't think there'd be a lot of discussion. One of my concerns is the cameraman. I'm not sure how he's gonna manage, but that'll be his problem, I guess.
Okay.
Because normally we're together. It's pretty easy for him, but if we're spread out, but again, he'll have to take care of that.
Would y'all like for us to go over there next week and try to measure the chairs out and everything and get everything 6 feet apart and all that?
I would, but you gotta remember the council's gotta have room up front
Right.
as well as the audience. So you gotta figure all that in, Aaron.
Okay. Yes, sir. I'll work on that. I'll try to see if we can put some tape on the floor just to kind of mark things, kind of like they're doing everywhere else, seems like.
So you gonna take some chairs out?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I thought that's what you said. Yes, thank you.
Some of the other areas have turned the chairs over, but I think taking them out is probably a good idea. Don't want to hit a knee on a leg or something like that.
Right.
Or like my wife, she just broke her toe Sunday running through the house and hung it on the chair.
Ouch. Okay. Anything else to bring up? John, as always, we appreciate you and all that you've done to help us out. We know you didn't sign on to be the Zoom administrator for us, but you've done an excellent job. And now I think we're going to be moving back into the realm of the in-person meeting. So I believe we'll do well. And we continue to pray that this COVID-19 drops back down. I know everyone is anxiously looking at the numbers for the next weeks or maybe even 2 weeks. So with that said, we'll adjourn this work study and see you at our regular meeting.
Are you going to open up parks in the morning, Jerry? Or ballpark?
Yes, I have Robin to give me a call.
Okay.
And I'll discuss, let's see, Chris Walker, Robin, and who else might I expect a call from?
Andy's the president, I think, but he lets Robin and Chris make a lot of decisions. So
Okay, we need to just have make sure that they're following the CDC guidelines, and it's my understanding that they're not allowing any more than 10 players maximum with any coach, and that's spread out on the field. But if you field 9 players and for a practice or something, several of the cities are not allowing play on the fields; they're just allowing practice. So y'all tell me what you want to do for Westmoreland. You want to open it all the way back up, or just for practice?
I don't know if they got any games going on right now or not. They may be preparing for the fall league.
I know travel ball seems to be the big thing.
The what?
Travel ball.
Yeah.
Yeah, practice will keep the crowds down. If we get into playing games, even scrimmage games, that's going to bring more people. So I think just practices for now.
Well, I know in some games that was played last weekend, they did not allow the fans to sit on the bleachers. You had to bring a chair.
Yeah, that was Gallatin, correct?
No, this was in Lewisburg, I believe.
Lewisburg.
The travel game.
I think Gallatin did the same thing, and they like I said, if they had fields that had before fields back to back, they had not been opened as of yesterday.
Right.
When I passed that ball field in Gallatin today, they were all in lawn chairs. Nobody was on the bleachers.
Okay.
So we may just have to move our bleachers somewhere. 'Cause if you got a set of bleachers sitting there, they're gonna get on them.
That's correct. So, and it will be up to the coaches and the parents to guide everyone through this, because we don't have the manpower to have people out there to police this thing.
Maybe you could yellow tape the bleachers without having to move them. Because I know they're awful to have to move.
Yeah, but tape's awful easy to move too. Take
Yeah.
off.
Okay.
Normally, we kind of review we've got for the agenda for the regular meeting. Is Keisha around? Can she recap what she's got?
She is right here. We have ordinance of the budget ordinance. We have the tax rate ordinance. We will have 2 public hearings. We're going to advertise for more public works staffing. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm not going to put that on the agenda to do. We're just going to do it because
Okay.
we need it.
Got it.
Then the rezoning ordinance for 1209 Mill Street. Like I said, we'll have to get someone to write that ordinance up and put it in proper form to have an ordinance to read. But we'll do that, and then on second reading of that ordinance, we'll have a public hearing.
The things that when we first went into this, we had some resolutions on the table that we tabled. Do we not? We want to leave them alone for right now till we get a little more out.
I would for at least another month.
Yeah.
But one for the building and for the other presentation.
Yeah.
I would just go ahead and hold off at this point.
That's what I
At
want.
least another month.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, now we had the first reading. No, that was work study. What about that ordinance on the policy and procedure? Did we have a first reading on it
Yeah.
So we
What
was-
did, and
what
we'll have a
subject?
second reading on that one.
Which one was that, Frida? What was the topic?
the policy and procedure on the temporary pay when you're suspended
Okay.
or no pay or without pay? Did
It's
we
very-
ever get a good ordinance together on that? Was that one
Yes.
that John sent us?
In my opinion, it was good, but I didn't
Okay.
vote it, so.
It's ready for second reading, right?
It's ready for second reading. Also, the one of Mr. Bentel's idea about changing the contract provision about people could have contracts with the city with an indirect interest if it was competitively bid. And we had that last time. That was an amendment to the municipal code. So those two things would be ready for second reading.
Okay, good.
Okay, need them there, yeah.
All right.
Okay. Anything else quickly?
Good night, everybody. Have a good
Good
evening.
night.
Good
Good
night.
night.
Thank you very much. Appreciate everyone tuning in and putting up with the transformers blowing and everything else. So have a good night.